first session of. So our first presentation will be presented by Rodrigo Almeida. He is from the Federal University of Paraíba, and he will be presenting his paper on business-driven technical debt, prioritization, an industrial case study. So Rodrigo, you have 15 minutes for presentation, and then we have a few minutes for questions. If anyone wants to ask some questions, please write them in the chat. So I will ask Rodrigo once he has finished his presentation. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Rodrigo. Rafael, Christoph Trude, and Wira are also authors. So let's go. Business pressure, like tight deadlines and other business and management aspects, have been widely identified as key causes for technical debt. In this case study, we apply Tracy, a business-driven approach to prioritize technical debt. Trace is the result of previous research with industry. So our objectives in this work are, first, to understand how the business-driven approach impacts technical debt prioritization, and what are the business stakeholders' perceptions regarding factors that influence technical debt. This study took place in Phoebus Technology. The company works with electronic payment and processing of card transactions. The selected team works on new products and are submitted to a high business pressure. And we had the opportunity to interact with participants on all decision-making levels, from developers to team leader, product owner, and the CEO. It was an incredible experience, and we are very thankful to all the support that the company gave to our research. Let's clarify some concepts and understand how the business-driven prioritization works. We use the domain of an e-commerce solution to simplify the example. First, observe that the concepts are divided in business and technical. The first company concept is the configuration item. Configuration items are artifacts that are affected by technical debt. Conceptually, it can have a different granularity from classes to entire systems. In this example, we have an e-commerce front end, a database, and a service composed by two modules, module A, module B. IT assets are high-level artifacts related to the business domain. Usually are present in the service portfolio of the organization. In this example, the e-commerce solution is the IT asset composed by several configuration items. In other words, an organization sells IT assets. It doesn't sell configuration items, you see. We sell a report, a key feature. We don't sell the database itself. The IT asset is like a business perspective of the features and the systems that are developed and maintained. Finally, we finally are the aspects, or the IT aspects, you see. IT assets are the high-level artifacts related to the business domain, usually are present in the service portfolio of the organization. In this example, the e-commerce solution is the IT asset composed by several configuration items. In other words, the organization sells the IT assets. You see, you don't sell configuration items. And finally, the value sources are the aspects of the IT assets that creates business value. It can have features, it can be features, supported business processes. We can have value sources that are related to the core business or not. In this example, an e-commerce solution, the sales process is a core business. On the other hand, the order history isn't. Every feature somehow supports some business process, you see. Basically, technical debt affects configuration items, which composes IT assets that provides value sources, which creates business value. So we use the business value to prioritize the technical debt. That's it. During the case study, our first goal was to collect data in order to trace the technical debt to its affected value sources. This was necessary to run the prioritization. So during the study, we collected information about 49 value sources from 8 IT assets, composed by 61 configuration items affected by almost 200 technical debt. To handle the data during the case study, we implemented our approach on a technical debt management and research tool called TracyTD. Using Tracy as a management tool, the participants could register and follow the technical debt life cycle without our interference. And as a research tool, we were able to log every access, collect data, disable features like the business prioritization to avoid bias during some research activities and so on. After the data collection, it is time to classify the business aspects. Basically, we had to understand which value sources were core business. But this is far from easy. It is common to have conflict perceptions of what is core or not. Two aspects took our attention. For example, the PO had more concerns about sales and customers' expectations, but the team leader was driven by features. Another point was the confusion between the prioritization of incidents caused by technical debt and the prioritization of the technical debt management itself. Conflicts are expected. Different decision-making levels lead to different perspectives. But what is core business, about what's core business or not? But we need some level of consensus to prioritize the technical debt. And we had some consensus while discussing different prioritization rules with business participants, POs, and directors. We can notice that it was consensus that technical debt which affects core business must have the highest priority. In addition, technical debt that affects legacy artifacts should be given the lowest priority. Well, why should one invest an effort to pay a debt on something that will be replaced in the near future? But definitely, exceptions may exist. One can opt to prioritize legacy code that affects core business, for example. These are the business particularities that must be considered. Let's take a look on how the prioritization works. First, we have the prioritization canvas. At the beginning of the research, we used the canvas in walls to discuss concepts and scenarios. Here we have the IT assets classified as operational, legacy, to be operational, you see. And here we have the value sources organized as a core business or not, and about its usage, high or low. Then we have the prioritization rule. Basically, we must define the priority of a technical debt to the relationship between the IT asset state and the value source classification. In this example, we assign the highest priority 1 to all technical debt that affects features on operational assets that are core business and have high usage. So if a technical debt A somehow affects the product showcase on the sales web asset, it will gain the highest priority. In this case, technical debt B affects the sales report, value source that isn't core and has low usage, and then it receives the priority 6, and so on. Priority 5, and the lowest priority, technical debt D, that affects a non-core feature, CRM service, you see, on the CRM service, which is a legacy asset. And then we have the prioritization. But the business environment is dynamic and the prioritization rule can change. Imagine that now one opts to prioritize technical debt on code under development, you see, to be operational. Instead of 5, now we have the highest priority. So the prioritization rule changes, and so the prioritization must change. See? It is important to highlight that new assets, value sources will appear and disappear. They may change its properties, and the same can happen from the technical side. So the business environment is dynamic, and the technical debt prioritization must follow the changes. So let's discuss some results. We observed that technical debts that affect core business and high usage features were prioritized to be paid. We also observed a high discrepancy between the technical and the business prioritization. So the ability to have a business vision to technical debt prioritization actually can improve the overall decision making. And finally, during the interaction with business participants, many factors were put on table about how they should prioritize technical debt. For example, the ability to negotiate the delivery time was perceived as an opportunity to pay operational debts. Another aspect, the incidents were reported by more than one participant as a factor for prioritization. If a technical debt is causing incidents, it must be prioritized. The delivery frequency was also considered as a factor, since production and legacy bases may exist simultaneously, and so on. Finally, we think that the business perspective is definitely a way to go when prioritizing technical debt, but not alone. We must consider also technical matters. Also, the business aspect must be studied more deeply. We must understand more what is behind the business perspective on the technical debt prioritization. And our tool, Tracy TD, is going to be open sourced until December. It can be extended to other solutions and results from other approaches that can be compared with existing data. So let's talk if you are interested. And follow us on Twitter and stay up to date about Tracy. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm open for questions and comments.